everything else.
Great. Well, welcome, Deanne.
Hi, Sarah.
Who's? Oh, Joe. Hey, how are you?
Just want to make sure you can hear me.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Okay, great.
And I see John Kessel is on the line. Great. And Natalie is on the line. I don't see Tammy yet.
She was having trouble with her server yesterday, if that's anything.
She's yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know she's I think she's calling in from home. I'm not sure.
Sarah.
She doesn't usually have trouble getting into the Zoom calls.
Sarah and Sam are the pair, basically. Okay. This bitch is the attorney, Joe Stevie. You can keep your video off if you want, or put it on. It's up to you. Okay. I don't know who this is. Craig Abrahamson.
We don't have Timberline folks yet.
I'm not sure. Jonathan Cassell is the 88, the deaf guy, I think. Mm-hmm. And then there's still people that aren't logged on yet. So.
I'm probably just gonna keep my mic muted and video off until I have something to say.
Yeah, but watch it and see how it goes. Why don't we all grab a beer and we could probably plate that in like 10 or 15 minutes because it will stay hot if it's all in boxes, you know.
Hey, Chris.
Huh?
No, it's fine.
You stated that.
I can wait 10, 15 minutes.
3. Red. Oh, that smells so good.
Okay, Mike Robinson. And who is 19512897340?
The power move come to fruition. I'm excited. I don't really care what happens anymore.
Hello.
Hey, Marty.
Yes.
Who is
You want to say
This is John. That number you're seeing is my interpreter.
Oh,
the audio
good.
line is my interpreter connecting in for me.
My phone's turning.
Very good. Thank you, John. All righty.
Yeah, I'm using 2 screens, so that way I can
you want to plug it in right there?
see you all on Zoom, and then I also have my interpreter on a separate screen.
Wonderful. That's great. Thank you. Okay. We have a slew of folks on. This is great. No Tammy yet, though.
Have any of the board members received the bills from Tammy?
Nope, of course they didn't. Because Tammy can't do it.
Negative.
We don't like you.
No, I haven't. Okay. No, sir.
Would somebody mind texting Tammy to see if she's okay and whether she's planning to join?
I'm just going to call her right now.
Okay, that'd be great. Because otherwise, I think we're critical mass.
Participants, Madre de Dios. There's football, there's the final round of the Women's Open, there's wrestling, there's Pandora, good Lord, people, get lives. I don't have one, that's why, and I love this town, so that's why.
Do you want to offer in some?
Or like that's something, it was just whatever.
That's Marty. Like so inappropriate.
Hey, Sash, did you get the emails I forwarded?
Do you want to turn that down? If we're gonna
I
put it on?
did, thank you.
Okay.
I tried to text you back and then my phone
No,
stopped
maybe
liking me.
Okay.
Until like
Good. All righty,
can you
good.
see it from there? Because the camera won't pick you up. But
Yeah, I can see it.
Just like a Halloween costume, like a skeleton costume, just sit there. Who are you, sir? Just don't say anything.
See an elf on the shelf?
Yeah. Is there sauce for that?
Maybe.
Some shit.
Is there a way, since it says there are 17 participants and my screen only gives me 12 and it won't go up or down, and then when I hit the participant thing, it doesn't do
hey,
anything.
Casey.
Is
Tay.
there a way of finding out who else is here
Hello.
for me? Or just
Hey,
leave it,
it's
it's not
Tay.
a biggie?
Marty,
Good.
if
Are you gonna hop on the
I
meeting?
think, go to the bottom of your Zoom screen and press participants. It
I
might.
tried that.
Okay, it didn't work for you.
There's a little screen on the left, on the right.
Yeah,
rather.
yeah. They're
On
gonna
the right,
discuss
yeah.
it first
Thank
off,
you.
and they're gonna explain what the
Problem
options
solved.
are, I guess, and
As
I'll be
always,
explaining the
thank
other part of the
Cool.
options.
God.
So now's the time if you can.
Yeah. So Sam, what'd you hear from Tammy?
Okay. Awesome.
Tammy will be joining us shortly. Her emails
Okay.
with the bills
Cool.
didn't
Great.
send, so she was going to try and send them to you, Sarah, and see if you can screen share them.
Okay. Okay, Rick Caldwell just joined us.
One time I was on one of these, just to see what they're all about, like a year or so ago,
Hi, Rick.
and I had site like muted and everything, and they're like,
And Sam, I wonder if we couldn't
Hender's G.
start and
And like,
we're recording
I never said
the
anything, like,
meeting,
"That's
so
really rude."
Tammy could pick up when she's able to join us.
Oh,
What do you
there's Chris.
think?
He's
Instead
gonna
of
be
having
on.
people wait.
Chris.
Yeah, we can do that.
I love how it's like last initials lowercase somehow.
Chrissy. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order.
Whatever. Who's whatever?
That's fucking Marty.
For roll call, board members, we have Sarah, Kathy, Frank, Sasha,
Casey.
Chris.
Day.
Casey.
Did everybody?
Sasha, Frank.
Like you could tell they're
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? Why are all these people on this?
And then
There's never anyone on these. It's
I
just
have
like
several
Homie was
guests.
just drinking a bottle of vodka. I was like, mood.
probably just fucking white trash.
Oh yeah.
Why don't you just go through one at a time and introduce yourself?
Or not.
Hi, I'm Joe Savy, one of the town attorneys.
Craig Abrahamson, I'm here for the council meeting.
Oh,
Ooh,
Bedford.
Georgia.
Jen Powell,
Oh,
I wanna
Bedford's
talk
on.
about
Yes.
the fun things going on in Georgetown.
Where's that?
Towards the end.
Right there.
Oh yeah.
And maybe Tom Peterson. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I heard someone else going in the background there. Yeah, Tom Peterson. I'm working with the Kessels as well. I'm an architect working on the project. So.
No.
Great, Rick Caldwell.
No, you can just say nothing like I did. None of it.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, like a plan.
Yeah.
I'm here.
They talk shit.
Um,
I'd be upset.
I'm just the citizen of the
Someone
town.
just called iPhone George.
Yeah, I
Very
don't know who
good.
that is.
Jamie Mefford. And just who do you represent, or why are you?
I live in town.
Gotcha.
You can
Good,
say-
good, good. Welcome.
You can say you're a citizen.
Lloyd
Just be I'm a
Culp.
citizen. That's it. Just say I'm a citizen because you're my daughter.
You have to make her feel comfortable.
Yeah, I don't wanna
Hey,
see
Storm, are you going to
so-
introduce yourself? Okay. Natalie, want to introduce yourself?
You can just say I'm just here to listen.
I don't get why they asked that though.
Mike
know,
Robinson,
it's
do you want to
really
introduce yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike Robinson here with Timberline School.
Oh, sure. Hey, welcome, Mike. And then Chris C.
Oh, look, his.
Not sure who that is. Casey Day.
I'm Casey Day. I live in town, representing myself.
Cool, cool. Hey, Chris, I see you now. You want to introduce yourself?
Oh, I can't hear him.
Oh yeah.
Can't hear you, Chris. Are you on mute? Still can't hear you.
Wait, can you hear me now?
Yes!
Okay. Yeah, so my name is Chris Coddington. I'm good friends with several people in town and a frequenter of the odd little silver plume that we love, and I just want to see what's going on.
Gotcha, thanks. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
And then there's iPhone George. Okay, so folks, if you're not speaking, could you put your mute button on, please? We're hearing some news or something in the background. And iPhone George, do you want to introduce yourself?
That's my mom.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess not. And then the Kessels.
Yeah, when she does it, it's so weird when she asks people.
Yeah.
The dog. Oh, what?
Are with us this evening. Of
Hi
course.
there. Hello. I'm John Kessel, and my partner here.
Partner in crime.
Sam looks like he's
Okay.
fucking like murder everyone in this town. He's
Mickey.
So creepy looking.
Mickey. Good, good, good. Yep, yep. Okay, well, welcome, Sam. I think that's it, except for the folks who chose not to introduce themselves.
Oh, shut up.
So,
Thank
there
you,
we are.
Yeah,
thank you all
she's
for joining
like
us
she's like
tonight.
can't believe it. She's like, oh.
The next
Yeah, and the way she
next
says it,
item
like, very
is to
genuine.
approve
So I
the
have to
agenda.
hear one now, just so
Does
you know.
anybody have
You're
any
supposed to stay here with me as my
changes to make to the agenda? Any of the board members want to move to approve the agenda?
Well, I move to approve, Sam, but I also would like to suggest a change.
Okay. What's the change you'd suggest?
I'd like to put the bills discussion off until we have had the discussion about recycling alternatives.
Okay, we can do that.
And Tay, hey, welcome. Tammy Tay is on the line as well.
Always been on the line.
Okay, do we have a second to approve the agenda? Sasha seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Next we'll move into
Folks, excuse me, Sam. Folks who are not speaking, please put your mute buttons on. We are receiving background noise. Thanks, much appreciated.
okay. Before we move into public comment, we've got a big agenda tonight. A lot of things to cover. I'm gonna limit comment to 5 minutes for each person. Say what you got to say in 5 minutes, and then we'll move on to the next one. Does anybody have any public comment?
No, it's not.
Okay, no public comment.
And Sam?
Yeah.
Sam's here. Just a clarification. when you say comment, it refers to either public commenter or the person presenting an agenda topic. Is that correct? It does not refer to discussion.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Administrative items. COVID update. About the only COVID update that I have for you is I just learned this evening that we've had 2 positive cases in Silver Plume.
Oh.
I'm not going to mention the names in the interest of privacy. I spoke with them on the phone this evening. They say that they're pretty much over it. They didn't get their test results back until Saturday, where they found out they was positive. But the daughter had a fever for a day and was pretty much over it. The mom had a fever for about 5 days and is feeling much better and believes she's over it. So,
Here, Malachi, do you want a bowl?
as far as I know, those are the first 2 cases in Silver Plume. We just need to be mindful of it and keep wearing our mask and doing what they say, and hopefully we'll be through with this before too long. And sounds like they got a vaccine out now, so. Sasha, you keep up on this as well as I do. Do you have anything to add?
The only thing that I would add is that we remind people if they do need to quarantine that we do have those food boxes still available of the non-perishable foods. If there are people stuck inside, just to that we make sure that the community knows that that's there for them should anybody need it. I don't think we've really talked about it since the last, since spring when Billy made all of those, but we do have those available still. So.
Okay.
Rick always.
All right, Rick, did you have something to say?
Very, very focused.
Okay.
Too aggressively too.
Yeah, right. It's like
let's approve the
like blurring out
minutes for the November 23rd meeting. Did everybody get those?
Like, why are they talking about this shit? Like,
any comments or changes or a motion to approve?
I guess you're
Sarah?
supposed to just do it. I don't know.
No one gives a fuck about this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Is it good? Did you get the one that was a little hot, or did you get mine?
I don't. It's not spicy.
I think she's saying motion to approve.
Okay.
Yours might be hot. Then. Okay.
All right, how about a second?
I'll
Sorry
second.
about that. Thank you. Sorry.
All right. All in favor?
One was marked.
Aye.
Right?
I don't know.
Anybody opposed?
I'm abstaining. I wasn't at the meeting.
Okay.
So Sasha abstains.
Yeah, we get it.
All right. How about the minutes of the November 30th special meeting?
Horrible, dude. She's like.
Everybody get those minutes?
One of the other people that like harasses Brandy a lot.
Yeah, I moved the minutes of November 30th, the special meeting.
She hates Tay.
Okay.
Hates Tay.
Yeah.
Second?
So does Kathy.
Sasha seconds.
All in favor?
Like miserable people. So.
Yeah.
Aye.
Okay.
Oh, that seems gross.
Staff updates. Tammy, do you have an update for us?
Yeah, horrible. If you guys want to like make that a table, you can fold it out, take that stuff off, and sit on it.
Sorry about that. No, I did not get to that today, and they're trapped in my computer up there. So I will send them out to you before the end of the week.
She's actually working hard. That's what she's getting at.
For the Public Works update, about the only update we have is that our Public Works Director is on leave for a little while. I'll give an update on that one. I know when that's going to come to an end.
And they just talk about themselves.
We'll move on to new business now.
Here we go.
Recycling alternatives available to the town. Do we have somebody from Timberline here?
Oh, right up there.
Yep, this is Mike Robinson. I'm on here.
Okay, you got 5 minutes. Go.
Video.
Okay. I was just asked by Chris to jump on here and kind of run through the process for residential recycle service, kind of how we pick up the service, the truck type, the designation of the transfer station, and how it's outgoing. So I can just real quickly, I had some photos. I guess I'm not going to be able to share those. But basically, we have a split body truck, residential truck. It's got 2 compartments to the body. One side is for recycling, and the other side is for trash. They each have a toter, retriever unit, its own body, its own sweep blade. Once we pick that up, the truck packs out. It heads to the transfer station in Plume. We've got one of the doors, when you're looking at the transfer station, the far right door is our outgoing recycle door. That's for designated for the trailers outgoing. The next door over to the left is our recycle inbound. And then the left 2 doors from that is trash inbound. Our far left door is our trash outbound. There's a concrete barrier. It's just built up of concrete building blocks that separates the material inside the transfer station, so that we keep the recycle to the right and the trash to the left. That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
And Mike, what kind of items do you guys take for recycling?
We take what you call it's single stream. So it's cardboard, glass, plastics, aluminum, all your typical normal what we call single stream recycling products.
And will you be able to provide some stickers for the bins too, so people can properly label their bins so they're going to the right spot?
Yes, we can. We can provide large or small recycle stickers for bins.
Awesome.
Okay, I have a question. Can you explain to us? There's been a lot of controversy as to whether you're actually doing recycling or not. I personally have seen your front load truck come over here to the railroad and dump one bin in, back up, and pull up to the next one and dump it all in the same load.
Oh shit!
I know those front load trucks aren't a split load. Can you explain to us when you started recycling and how you can reassure us that it's actually happening?
Yeah, we started recycling. It was earlier in the year, like really properly doing it, because the transfer station was never segregated. It was never set up separately. We got the concrete blocks in earlier in the year to truly get a defined separation of the material. I'm not sure about. Yeah, there is no split body front load truck, so I'm not sure what was going on for that instance there that you're referring to. But we've had training with our employees on the proper protocols for making sure that we pick up recycle the right way. If for whatever reason we're unable to pick up recycle properly, then we just don't pick it up. I would rather call our customers and let them know that the service was not able to be provided versus dumping it all in the same place and it ended up in the landfill. So I don't know if that answers your question. I would definitely, anytime there is any question about the potential of throwing recycle away as trash, I would ask that we would get a call right away to follow up with the driver to make sure that we do have situations where there's potentially contamination of a dumpster, but there's a process that's supposed to be in place for our employees to take pictures so that we can upload those to the account, call the customer, let them know there was a contamination. But other than that really should be a simple process.
Okay. Sarah had her hand up. Sasha's got her hand up. Sarah, why don't you go first?
Yeah, real quick. First off, in terms of timing, Mike did a great job in far less than 5 minutes, and so we're into the question phase. So Mike is no longer being timed as far as I'm concerned. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I just want to clarify. So Mike, a couple questions on my end. One is, how do you inform the town residents of this? Because I live in town, and you guys do my garbage, which I so appreciate, but I had not a clue that you guys were recycling. The last time I was aware of Timberline Recycling was when they first submitted their plan to the town. They told us they were recycling, and I learned as an individual sitting on the board for that time, across from a board member who worked for Timberline at that time, that you weren't recycling. And again, I didn't have a clue. And so since then, just so you know, Mike, I've been doing my own recycling, and I don't have great trust in Timberline. And so I will be one of those doubters in town who is happy to continue my own recycling or look into some alternative. So I guess spilling old soiled laundry on you, which is potentially unfair because you were not here during that period of time. I do want to know how you're informing the town and who rates getting a recycling bin. Again, I've seen other neighbors get recycling bins from you guys, and I was never offered such a bin. So I think it's a bit sloppy. I'd like some assurance on your part that you're going to be telling all of us what your story is, as opposed to your buddies and whoever else in town happens to know what your plan is. And forgive my frustration, but as one person who's really been screwed by Timberline in the past, I'm a doubter. And so anyway, that's all I had to say, Sam.
Mike, you want to respond?
No, I can absolutely appreciate the concern and frustration. Dealt with the exact same thing with Breckenridge. What this company has done and its processes in the past, I really can't speak to. But I'll tell you the same thing that I told town of Breckenridge. I would prefer to honestly exit altogether than to do something other than what we say we're going to do. So if we tell our customers that we pick up recycle and it makes it to a MRF to get processed, that's how we need to operate. And if we, for whatever reason, from an operational standpoint, a cost standpoint, we can't do that, then I would prefer us to let our customers know that we can no longer service them, rather than do some shady behind the scenes nonsense. So I can absolutely appreciate and relate to your frustration there. I'm not really sure, other than a commitment, a very, an openness to showing you what the transfer station does, how it operates, a rear load truck coming in. I mean, it can all be a song and dance, but really just, it's us doing what we say we're going to do, and standing behind it and be able to look at you folks in the face and say, we do the right thing. Sometimes it's not very cost effective, but we do the right thing. We do what we tell you we're going to do with this.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Mike.
Sasha, you is next.
My question was just if the recycling is included in the trash pickup service that's provided to the town, or if that's something that individually you have to pay for separately. If any one of us were to get a recycling bin, is that then picked up with our regular trash bin? And I reckon it doesn't apply to me because I have a dumpster, and so I pay for that monthly anyway. But so is the recycling in addition, or is it part of the original agreement? So is the recycling in addition?
So I was under the impression that recycling was included. So yeah, it's included. So if anybody wants a recycle cart, and we can talk about ways to get this out, better visibility for Silver Plume. for the residents there to be able to get a recycle cart and actually take advantage of the recycling. We can absolutely talk about how to do that. So it's a little bit more transparent.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. It's just a little, I'm confused about a lot of this, but that was what I wanted to make sure, is that people weren't purchasing their recycling bins separately, that it is something that should be offered to the town if it's part of our perks of having the transfer station here. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Frank, I think you was next, and then Chris.
Okay, I've got a question for those of us in town who don't have pickup, mainly the Brooklyn Heights area up above the train yard. Where can we put our recycling stuff? Is there going to be a separate recycling bin somewhere in town? Or, yeah, that's the question. Is there going to be some separate recycling bin that we can utilize?
You sound so tired. He's actually a nice guy. He works for the parks. He's pretty good.
Mike?
Yeah. So we can absolutely establish a recycling bin. Sometimes the issue with a recycle bin that we run into is if it's open to the public, that it gets contaminated pretty easy. People will dump on it, throw trash in it. But again, we can absolutely provide a dumpster, a recycle dumpster that is available for folks to put recycling in.
Okay, Chris?
Okay, we'll see if that really happens. That's kind of along the lines of my question as well. How do we operate to the Silver Street and Mountain Street residents? And maybe we can put another dumpster alongside the one in town. I don't know. Something we'll probably all have a meeting about. But that was the question I had too.
Okay. Any more questions for Timberline?
Okay, I'm gonna have my mic on in a bit.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, the next item is the town recycling proposal. Okay.
Hey guys. So I don't think that. Oops. You know what? I'm just gonna start my timer in case somebody wants to cut me off. So 5 minutes. I don't think we have to put in a lot of effort to dig through the minutes where we've gone through a lot of iterations of problems with Timberline managing our disposal, their breaches of contract, their inability to adhere to an agreement, and all of these things. Mike, this has no judgment on you, but as a town, there have been a lot of issues that we've had to deal with Timberline, and part of that was they were picking up the recycling that we've all been carefully sorting and dumping it into landfills. So to that end, they removed the recycling bin from the park, which, yes, was being contaminated with trash too. So that was another issue with that program. And a lot of town resources and time and effort were invested into coming up with an alternative program that the town could maintain full control of and maybe was more applicable or akin to the size of our town. We only have a few hundred people here, and probably not all of them want to recycle. To that end, after discussions with several of the board members and townspeople, a recycling program was put together that was dependent on us being able to grab a recycling trailer to collect them all in one place, because probably a lot of residents like myself are taking their recycling to other towns and collecting them, and then that action of all of us separately going and doing that is there's a lot of time and effort invested in that. So the town, we have a recycling trailer that we were able to acquire for about The exact cost is the total cost is $4,344. The price tag of a new trailer runs from $19,000 to $22,000, and what we would do is, what we would do is in coordination with the recycling stream that's provided by Idaho Springs, as well as some of the facilities in Summit County. We would ensure that all the towns.
For just a second.
Yeah.
Your audio is breaking up and garbled and kind of hard to understand. I don't know if there's anything you can do about it or not, but it's really easy to understand you.
If the person that's calling in on the phone could maybe mute, that's what keeps giving me feedback. The 951-289-7340.
Sarah, you can, if you're in control of the meeting, you could actually mute that phone until this portion is finished. Oh, there, they got it. Sometimes it's hard to mute on a phone. Okay.
Okay.
That's much better. Thank you.
So after discussing it with a majority of the board and a lot of town members, and actually in specific response to Timberline disposing of our recyclables in the landfill, the idea was to come up with a program that we had control of, and we could change and alter it however we want. And the most specific idea for that was to ensure that all of the town's collected recyclables end up in a reliable recycling stream. And that program culminated in the procurement of a trailer. It hasn't been approved yet. But in spite of our past experiences with Timberline, after trying to get this suggestion into a board meeting for the last several months, there was interest by one of the board members to allow them to input. So my actions were based on the fact that Timberline not only was not knowingly providing a recycling program, but when they did before, they were absolutely breaching the trust of the people of the town of Silver Plume and disposing of our recyclables improperly. So this is something that the town would have complete control over and can direct as they wish. And I guess that's really it. I don't know if there's any other questions. I do have some comments that were sent to me by other members of the public about this program. So if there's any questions, I could take those and then I can read those comments.
Okay, do we have any questions for Tay? Why don't you go ahead and read your comments, Tay?
Okay, so Austin Grisham commented that he wants to voice his support for recycling service only if we can verify that our recyclables will be recycled appropriately. And if we can verify that, I would support Timberline, and if not, I support finding a different service. Another member, I don't know if they want to be identified because there was some things that were unfriendly. Timberline should be held responsible. I went to a hearing in Georgetown 9 years ago when the town was trying to stop Timberline from setting up a recycling transfer station here. And Timberline's biggest selling point was that they would provide a recycling program and trash pickup for residents. The majority of the town opposed the transfer center, but our lawyer filed the paperwork late and the whole appeal was thrown out in court. I support a new recycling program, and I'm happy to help support any new recycling program or trailer that we decide on. Other than continuing to trust Timberline with our recycling, they've proven to be completely inept. And then I think I'm missing one, but anyway, so.
Do you have your hand up? Go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, a couple of things. One is I was one of the folks that Kay spoke with, and appreciated the amount of research that she had been doing on this trailer in particular, as a way of addressing the recycling needs in town, and was very supportive, recognizing, as she knew, this needed to be a full board discussion and decision. I do very much support the option of knowing that we have a vehicle that's specifically designed for recycling that we can utilize for that purpose, and knowing that our local Clear Creek County transfer station is willing to work with the town, as I understand it, to receive periodic deliveries with this recycling trailer that we might use as a town. I do recognize that we need to think about how this would be managed, who would be doing it, and just A to Z in that regard. But I do have trust in the documentation that Tay has provided us on the background research that she did on the device and on the trailer, and the quality of the trailer that we now have in town and potentially at our disposal. So I, for one, am a supporter of a recycling approach that I think I would be more inclined towards and trust as an individual, and would readily transfer my individual recycling practices to a local depository instead of driving them down to Idaho Springs. I do have a question, Tay, for you, just having looked at the detailed budget submission that you had. I didn't add up the 40 some odd hundred, thousand, the 4,000 and change that you referenced. So I would want just clarification on what part of it was the cost of the trailer versus other costs.
Yeah, sure. So the trailer was found, just for some background, I while we were without recycling, I spent a year looking for a trailer on auction sites and what have you, and they kept getting snapped up in COVID. People were selling everything and buying everything at fire sale. And the cheapest one I could find was $5,000 initially, and then I just happened to run across one that was, the price tag was $2,500. All of these trailers were located on the East Coast. This one that I purchased was located in Texas, so they would have all included a delivery fee. And so when I was under the understanding that we would have this meeting about 8 weeks ago, I had gone to purchase it and recorded my hours for driving and the fuel to bring it back and what have you, which would be akin to, it was actually worked out. I did call a delivery company to see how much they would charge to deliver it, so it actually worked out less than having a delivery company pick it up and deliver it to us. Plus, the guys at the trailer shop in Texas realized there were some errors in the wiring, and they redid it all brand new and put brand new batteries and brake controller in as part of the deal. So the actual cash price tag for the trailer was $2,500. I think gas and fuel broke down to what, $700 was the man hours that were put into driving it back, because it's a 20-something hour drive back, which is slowed down when you're dragging a trailer. And the rest of it was gas and mileage. So that's basically $2,500 plus delivery.
Got it.
If that makes sense. And one thing that I was just thinking about when Frank was saying that he was wondering about a trailer or some kind of receptacle being available to townspeople, these things do not have to be mutually exclusive. We could use our trailer as a receptacle for additional items or people that want to, you know, have that taken down, and because it will only be taken down to Idaho Springs once it's full. And unlike the generic trash bins that are given to us by Timberline to collect the recycling, this specific trailer is segregated, and there will be a locking mechanism put on it where only the people from the town of Silver Plume who have registered to participate in the recycling program will be able to unlock it with essentially a key card or a code. So that's going to eliminate a lot of random dumping and placement of trash inside of the trailer, because it's visually different than a trash dumpster.
Frank, go ahead.
I just want to add that originally, when Kay was doing the research or whatever, I talked with her too, and I encouraged her to get to follow up on that. But again, with the caveat that it had to be approved by the whole board eventually. But I just want to add that I don't trust Timberline. They meeting the various owners through the years have always been giving us a song and dance, and they haven't been dancing very well. So I just want to say I'm in support of the town acquiring the trailer and dedicating the time of a town maintenance person or any other volunteers to manage how that works, when it's empty, that kind of thing. So I just wanted to throw that in here. And I'll even go as far as say if the town decides they can't afford it, I'd be willing to throw in some of my own money.
Wow.
If we decide we want to go ahead with it but can't afford it. So I just wanted to add that in. Thank you.
Okay, Marty, I seen you had your hand up.
Okay, now you can hear me. Just a couple of things, and Frank just touched on it. I think managing, if we go ahead with it, managing the process whereby citizens of the town would have access and how we control it needs to be discussed rather than imposed. And then a clarification, Kay, and if I had read it wrong when we were initially discussing it, you were going to Texas for other reasons, and it was fortunate timing that the picking up of the trailer could be incorporated into that adventure. And if I didn't understand you, please educate me. I'd be more than happy to. I just need that clarified when evaluating
Marty, I'm so sorry. You're awfully soft. And Sam, I think Sasha had her hand up as well. But Marty, can you just repeat that last piece of what you were saying?
Okay, sure. I think
that's better. Thanks.
Yeah, up to Mike. Just a clarification on whether or not there was a trip scheduled. There's a trip, and it was a fortunate concurrence of time, space, availability of the picker-up and the picker-uppee to facilitate this transaction.
Yeah, so to your first question, which I think was about access, there is a I don't want to go totally into it right now because the doors will each have to be individually locked, also to bear proof it for the summer. But that although that's not a necessity right now, but there is a procedure in place to ensure that towns members who sign up for the recycling that want to use it will be given access either with a key card or with a lockbox or with a combination box, and then that will unlock the doors in order to put the recycling in. And then I don't know, does that answer your question for that?
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm unmuted. Yeah, that does. It's not so much as how they would have access as to, well, I guess it does. Yeah, never mind.
Okay.
Locking it up to keep miscreants away.
And then as far as the events that all conspired nicely to allow us to get this, most of the trailers that I were looking at were in like Virginia, several of them were in Connecticut. They were being sold all over the country at a price of about $5,000, and this is actually the nicest trailer that I saw. The other ones were like ugly brown ones, which the color doesn't really matter, but they also weren't as functional as this one to have multiple compartments. So the closeness of it being in Texas made it really appealing. And yes, I was driving to Texas to drop my daughter off at a semester in Outward Bound. But it did require a 15-hour detour and a different route back home in order to go get it. However, Texas is a lot closer than Connecticut, especially since I was already in the state with my vehicle. So it just seemed like the perfect solution was coming together because I had been looking for, I would say, over a year and had gotten burned out of a few auctions that would have been great, although this with the delivery is cheaper than any of the other ones that I was tagging on auctions and looking after. Does that answer that question?
Yeah, it does. It does. Mostly the thing on the discussion on accessibility. I would add if we could do a fairly liberal scheduling and ask volunteers to monitor. I know it sounds a little bit fascistic, which from an old hippie is kind of surprising, but to monitor what people throw in there. You know, if there are volunteers who can say, go to the between and make it convenient for, bless you, make it convenient for as possible. But I think that given a significant history with attempting, bless you again, the history of it being exploited by ne'er-do-wells, and none of us would like to see ne'er-do-wells take control of it. And the other comment I have is that is just a wonderfully functional. It's couldn't ask for more, especially for this town in terms of capacity, in terms of being able to separate things, the tool dag nabs on the side. It's a great trailer, and that's about it. I would caution everyone to, bad analogy time. I had 2 shitty marriages, and my last one was perfect. So I think we should have a break-in period or an evaluation or a probation, whatever you want to perceive it as, with Timberline to see if there, as there have been, and other incantations of whatever this one is, although it's not Timberline, but it's something I can remember, so we'll call it that. Thank you. Just see if, they're not as full of shit and incompetent and exploitative as we have perceived, justifiable experience with them in the past. Yeah, I've taken garbage and dumped it at their door because they were so slack. So I have full loathing for prior bad acts, but I don't mean to compare my marriages to trash pickup, but My last marriage was heavenly, and the previous two were a living hell. So maybe it'll work out. That's it. I've taken up enough time. Thank you for your forbearance.
Okay, Sasha, I believe you was next. Chris, you was after that.
I just wanted to mention that, like I said, they don't have to be mutually exclusive. This can be hours, and should Timberline continue en route to a happy divorce, I'm just kidding. This solution can be ours while we're figuring that out. In addition, it can also be used for things like events in town and other situations where we, in God willing, the future of non-COVID, where we have people celebrating and doing what have you, we're able to kind of, we can use this for other situations too. So the options aren't mutually exclusive.
Okay, Sasha, you was next, then Chris.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Sasha.
Oh, I thought Tay was saying something else, so I was waiting because I couldn't tell if I was on a delay.
I was like, which Chris? We have two. I was just curious. Or, yeah, two. Sorry. I wasn't sure.
So I also have had my fair share of trouble with Timberline, but am in full agreement with other people that, the sins of the mother, you can't always hold everybody accountable for. So I think it's important that we keep that in mind moving forward as the company changes hands. But still also look to them to prove themselves in an appropriate and acceptable way to the entire community and not just a select few. I also am a huge proponent of segregated recycling. I feel that throwing it all in a bin together never sits correctly with me, that is actual recycling if it's not segregated recycling. Personal opinion, don't know the reality of how that works out in the grand scheme of the universe. Logistically, I have some questions and concerns about the trailer that I'm not sure can be answered exactly right now, but I'd like to put out there some of my concerns. The location of it, how it gets picked up or not, and whether we contract that with somebody else or if the town's employee is doing it, things like that. I'm still a little bit foggy about how those parts all work out. I am not opposed to it. I think that it's a good piece of equipment for us to have. I do have concerns as to what vehicle will move it and what vehicle will take it, etc. As far as the discussion of the price of the trailer, I have a little bit more reservation. I feel that reimbursing somebody for the full cost of the trailer is appropriate, but I have a difficult time with reimbursing hours that weren't board directed. So, if we do decide to go for the trailer, I fully feel that needs to be paid in full for the trailer. But I do have a hard time paying for time that wasn't board directed. And I'm not exactly sure how to communicate that effectively, or if I am communicating it effectively. But that is one reservation that I do have with regard to this. I personally recycle, and we try and recycle as best we can, and would love it to be more convenient for everybody in town. So I am in favor of whichever option brings that to the town most effectively and to everybody, not just, Brooklyn Heights gets left out 9 months out of the year because it's a steep road and it's icy and nobody wants to drive a trash truck up there. So those are my concerns and opinions on that.
Okay, Chris, choose next. You're muted.
Oh, come on.
Still muted.
I'm still figuring out Zoom.
There you go.
You guys, you obviously you can hear me now. So a big part of why I wanted to get involved with this is because down in Denver, our neighborhood organization dealt with trying to manage our kind of disaster of a recycle down here because people would just dump trash. Well-meaning people would dump bags and stuff in it. To me, it would kind of make sense because we dealt with this, and it ultimately ended up resulting with education and just sending out a flyer telling people, hey, this is not recyclable. And we even did enough research to say, hey, there's not a post-consumer market for this. So if this is not a priority, like if it's covered with gunk, throw it away. If you have something that's small, if you have your own trailer and you can simply give people knowledge, that gives you the power to control your stream in a way that actually does something. And to be fair to Timberline, I know a lot of these big organizations, they take it, they dump it, and they sort it themselves. So it's not as if they're, unless they're totally just dumping it all with the garbage, which I don't know how they deal with that. It's not that they're completely maybe doing nothing, it's that they have to sort it on the back end. But I would think if you could control something small, your own stream, and focus it on what is worth, what's worth it, that would seem to be a good idea. We wish we could do that in Denver. But we did get results by simply showing people information. Hey, this is not recyclable. This is recyclable, but if it has a bunch of junk in it, the price of oil is low. I mean, people are not stupid. They think about this when they recycle it. It could be a simple information sheet. And if you control the stream by having a small, a controlled place to do it, I think that it may be more effective. About the compensable hours and all of that stuff, I also used to work for the Department of Labor, litigating a wage and hour issue during a meeting about something that is ultimately about us helping the environment is a little absurd. If you guys have wage and hour issues, the U.S. Department of Labor will deal with you on that. So if you're wondering about what defines a compensable hour, call 720-264-3250. But the reason I'm here is I'm passionate about recycling. And that's just my 2 cents, is that it may be better to have a smaller thing because then you can control it. And all people need to know is if you give people knowledge, you'd be really surprised what you can get because it worked for us. That's really all I have to say.
Okay, I believe I'd seen Jonathan Kessel with his hand up. Did you have something to say?
And Sam, I think their translator.
I see that translator dropped off. Anybody else have any comment?
If he had his hand up, do we want to message him that his
Marty, go ahead.
There is. He's got his.
Thank you, your hostess. If you could send us a copy of that flyer around. I've lived in town for 42 years, and all those 42 years, people have, in one form or another, been quite passionate also about recycling. So any information or input that would help us facilitate such an endeavor would be greatly appreciated. I don't want to talk about the Department of Labor.
All right, I see that Kessel's translator's back on. Did you have something to say?
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Can you hear us?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought
Okay, great.
he had his hand up. You have something to add to the conversation?
Do you want to do any questions? No, we're good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. If there's no more discussion on that one, Sarah, why don't you talk a little bit about the third option?
Sam, it's quick. Just a lot of us right now, because we didn't feel that we had an option, do our own recycling. So that's it. Sort it at home and bring it down to Idaho Springs. So that's it, Sam.
Okay. Okay.
I just want to reiterate that any of the hours, whether board approved or not, there are a lot of things that happen that aren't previously board approved. The board doesn't approve every single hour of operation for the town. Regardless, those are essentially the delivery fee of the trailer. So, somebody would have had to bring it here or not. And I did check with several other companies to make sure it would be more financially feasible to just go pick it up. And like I said, it gave me the opportunity to discuss with the place that had held on to the trailer for a while, and they actually did a few modifications because I was there in person to test it out and make sure that it was good to go.
Okay. I have just a quick comment on this. It seems to me that we're pitting the town against Timberline right now, and maybe that's not the way to look at it. Maybe we ought to see if Timberline would be willing to work with us on recycling and utilize the trailer if we decide to purchase it, and in conjunction with Timberline instead of in opposition to Timberline. Mm-hmm. Timberline's a business in our town, and we should try and work together instead of trying to work against them. Mr. Robinson, do you have any comments on that?
No, I just I completely understand where people's where everybody's at, the frustration level of demons of the past, and I don't feel like this conversation was the town against Timberline at all. I completely understand the lack of trust and frustration from citizens who feel that that we weren't doing what we said we were going to do, and if we weren't, then obviously in the past that's what we've laid this out to be. And so yeah, I'm all for working with the town on a solution or a better solution resolution to this. But I mean, it ultimately starts. We can jump into a whole lot of things, but if we fail to do what we say we're going to do, this is all for nothing. And I can tell you that for myself, on behalf of the company and the employees that I'm responsible for, I expect us to do the right thing and do what we say we're going to do. So if you want to talk more about what that looks like, I'm absolutely willing to have more conversation about this.
Okay. I think Tay's hand went up first, and then Sasha, and then Kathy.
I think it would be great to work with Timberline, and I also think it would be nice to have a stopgap while we figure that out, in case it doesn't work. And like I said, it could be used for other things too. So I agree with what you're saying.
Alright, Sasha?
My question was for Mike, as far as if we were to get the trailer and use it, is there a way that, sorry, how would you show the way that you recycle, so that if we were to use the trailer and then at some point down the road, if we were able to take it just to you guys to have it recycled with trust and the integrity that we hope from everybody in the universe, how is there a way that we could work together with you on that, so that we have this one zone that's for people that don't get regular pickup, and then we have, the individuals that have their other recycling? Is that something that's foreseeable or doable, or anything?
I guess part of the complication is offering it for the town of Silver Plume versus any other resident. There's a charge to it for any kind of recycling, just simply because recycling is expensive to transport and to process. Rough idea, to transport 1 ton of recycled material from our county, whether it be Clear Creek or Summit, and the processing fee that we have for the MRF, we're upwards of $90 a ton. So we would want to make sure that whatever we commit to from a service standpoint isn't getting mixed up with something that's a free service versus something that is not a free service from Timberline. Does that make sense?
That does make sense, but the household recycling service to each home is included in what we get, right?
Correct.
So then this bin would be helping to serve the people that don't have regular pickup, that are still members of this town, what I was saying.
That makes sense.
Not that we're outsourcing our recycling to bring more into Silver Plume. That this is still just for members of the town, but an alternative location for them to drop it off, to then be recycled by you if that deems appropriate through your guys' actions and how the community feels about it.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. And
yeah, why
okay.
I don't understand
Thank you.
why this is such a long thing. Just
I believe Kathy was next, and then Chris. Did I miss somebody?
Yeah.
Just like you both.
Kathy, you're up.
Kathy usually has something bitchy to say. Here we go.
Here
we go.
I just have a couple of comments and a question. Mike had said that Timberline is recycling glass and all of the stage 1 or whatever recycles. And I don't know if Idaho Springs is doing glass and plastics or not right now. And I was wondering if anybody knew that.
They are.
Okay. And what happened with ours is we were recycling down in Lakewood, because Lakewood's is incredible and the glass goes to Coors. And we knew somebody at Coors. And so we've been using Lakewood, and with COVID it closed. And so we actually asked the garbage people with the truck that Mike was explaining if it was really being recycled, and they said definitely yes. And so we have been using it since basically the end of March through Timberline. And they've been very courteous, and if that truck is broken, they send out a separate recycle truck to pick up the recycle. So we have had no problems with it whatsoever, and it's been very, very nice working with them through this wonderful year of 2020.
They talk about
That's all.
themselves. It's weird.
I
They don't
know.
give a shit about
Okay,
Yeah,
Chris,
nobody else.
You're next,
Yeah,
and
nobody
then
else.
let's try and end this conversation so we can move on.
Oh, here's
Instead of
Chris
taking
Fry.
any action on this or whatever. Chris, go ahead.
I want to just clarify, they are taking plastics at Idaho Springs, because the last conversation we had, they weren't taking plastics.
They are taking plastic.
Okay, so that's good to know. That was one of my main questions. Another thing I just want to bring up is, I agree, we've had a very rough running with Timberline from the very beginning all the way around, but under this new management, under what I've been seeing, I think it's worthwhile to see what they have to offer and explore the options of what they're actually doing. And maybe, like everybody says, look at the pictures that Mike has provided of the transfer station. I went down and looked at it myself. I thought it was very cool the way they have it set up now. It's been set up differently than it ever has been before. And I can testimony to that since I was down there working on that loader for a long part of my time there. I just want everyone to really think about that. It's a new owner and it's not the same old owner. And these guys are truly trying to do the right thing. I think we should give them a chance. So.
Chris, you mentioned pictures that Mike showed us.
No, he didn't show us. Mike has pictures that he would like to show us of the transfer station, of the split body trucks. You can maybe get those to Tammy to email out to us if everybody would like to see them. I went down personally and I went and saw the garage door opened up and saw what they were working with down there.
Thanks, Chris. Sorry for my confusion.
Okay. Do we want to take any action on this? Does anybody have a motion or?
Well,
Sarah?
I want to say something first. I feel that it's appropriate time to make a decision about the purchase of the trailer. And I personally would support the cost of getting the trailer here, as Tay has detailed it, because I trust her evaluation that it was less than the cost of delivery. But I feel that there are more mixed opinions about covering that part of the cost. I would like to move, and I feel that one way or the other, we can make great use of this trailer. I would like to move as the board that we purchase the trailer, and Sorry?
There's some weird feedback that's happening, and I don't know if it's just me.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Can you guys hear me all right? Okay, so I move to purchase the trailer. I am supportive of covering the rest of the cost, but I guess I'm inclined to leave that off for now in the hopes that maybe there's clear support for the purchase of the trailer. Anyway, I move that we support Tay by purchasing the trailer from her and working out the details later.
I would second that.
Okay. Tay?
I just have a comment. As a citizen of this town, this is something that I've been looking forward to for a while. So I am willing to donate the time I spent bringing it back, and then just have the actual physical cost of the gas and the mileage and that. So if that changes that at all, I'm not looking for handouts.
Sasha?
Can I ask for clarification of what our motion is?
Yeah, sorry, Sasha.
Our motion is the purchase of the trailer?
Yes.
And Frank seconded? And, okay. I'm just making sure. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Chris, you had your hand up.
Oh, God.
Go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to.
The other Chris. I'm sorry. Chris C.
Oh, no. I should be like, who is this guy?
Okay, here we go, I think.
All right.
So, my only final comment is, I think you guys are on the right track. I don't think that the recycle company should be maligned necessarily. It's complicated, it's a mess. You know what I think about the small, more controlled recycle stream, but I do have to, and this was not even why I got involved with this. I worked for the Department of Labor for 13 years. if you don't want to pay for someone's time to acquire something, you should look at the U.S. Department of Labor Fact Sheet 22, compensable hours. It's just what strikes me is that this was about recycling, and then you're talking about not paying somebody for time because it dovetails with something personal. Dealing with the city, I've never dealt with anything like this, and there's probably an agreement anyway to have your employee be reimbursed for it. That's all I want to say is like you guys are on the right track, but the wage and hour issues are it's sloppy to bring it up, and it doesn't sound right. It sounds ridiculous to me. So that's all I have to say.
I'd like to add one thing real quick. I think it's very generous of Tay to offer to donate her time. Sarah, if you're willing, I'd like to see you amend your motion to include paying the rest of it, other than what Tay's offered to donate. In other words, the mileage and the cost, and approve it all in one motion.
Yeah, I'm happy to modify accordingly.
Ma'am, excuse me.
Yeah.
Could we just have Sarah restate the motion and we could restate the second because I lost internet and I missed the entire conversation?
Okay. Sarah, would you please restate your motion?
I will, and Tammy, you know, of course, we're recording, so you will have that as a resource. But I moved that we proceed with the purchase of the trailer. Frank seconded, Tammy, and then Sam just asked me to modify to expand the coverage to include the cost of the trailer and all of the other gas mileage, etc. costs, absent the labor. So that I'm sure there's a clearer way to say it, but that's, if you understand, that was the modification.
Okay, got it.
Frank, would you go second with that change?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any more discussion? Marty?
Okay. I want to compliment Chris on his utilization of the arcane adjective ridiculous to describe our possibility of resolving this. I find a certain irony in talking about small stream and local, and then decide that the best place for a small town who has resolved differences internally historically rather well be to engage the collective wisdom of a cumbersome bureaucratic entity. As to the compensation issue, I appreciate the volunteering to donate your time. I think you brought up a very significant point that there was an addition to the time you would have utilized anyway in your journey to Texas. And I think that a partial reimbursement would be more appropriate than a total reimbursement or a total donation, whatever, if you present what you think is fair and reasonable or documentation of that. So I don't think you should, donate everything. Just that's about it.
Just to clarify, the only mileage and the only hours that are listed in the bills are the extra time that was outside of my. It was 10 hours this way and 10 hours that way, so on home I split that in half. I did not charge for going down to Texas. I only charged for going over to the actual place where it was to be picked up, and the 10 hours between El Paso and Austin is a lot less significant than the 49 hours it would take to drive to Connecticut and pick up one of these things. So, in any case, I just wanted to be clear that it wasn't none of my personal travel was included in any of that. So.
Okay, great. I appreciate that clarification. That's what I was aiming for, to achieve. And I also thank you for enlightening me in the geographic difference between going from here to Texas and here to Connecticut and back. I could figure this out by myself in my necrotically 75-year-old brain.
Okay, to cut the discussion off and take a vote, we need to move on. We still have a lot of things on the agenda. So I'm going to call the question. All in favor of the motion on the table? Aye.
So Tammy will need us.
Aye.
Tammy will need us probably to let her know who said aye.
Okay.
Sasha said aye.
Garrett said aye. Frank said aye.
Frank said aye.
Okay. Kathy?
I'm gonna abstain.
Okay. Chris?
No.
Shocking.
Okay. Marty?
Dan.
Is that everybody? All right, so we got Sarah, Sasha, Frank, saying aye. Chris
says no.
saying nay. And
Yeah.
Kathy and Marty abstaining. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So by my count, motion carries.
That's it.
All right, let's move on. All right.
It means they're not
Kessel,
going to vote 'cause they don't want to make them
555
abstain.
Woodward Street. Who's going to take the lead on that one?
So, all right.
Go ahead, Tom.
So what does that mean? Now there's another time where there's no answer.
No, it got answered.
So what was the answer? If 2 people abstained and
They're buying the trailer and paying my gas mileage, but they're not paying my hours. So something.
you won, it's a win. So it was a hard high five.
Okay. Sorry that took so. I didn't expect it to take that long.
No, it's obviously a big deal, you know. It's good. Yes. Good job. Spice, you made your appearance too many times from that.
I think it's cute.
Yeah. Good. That's awesome. Like, why the fuck? It just baffles me why those people are so spiteful. The one said no. It's like, what the fuck does it hurt you? You know?
Right, I know.
This is about the